Welcome all the participants to Vardaan. Vardaan means we are offering the guidance regarding 1100 days of core parenting. Through Vardaan, our goal is to provide an offering to the future generation through their parents. And what education we want to provide? It is the holistic education to future generation through their parents in their golden period. What do we mean by holistic education? We all want our children to be intelligent, but by intelligence means IQ. But we hardly work upon or know about other intelligences like emotional intelligence, social and spiritual intelligence, and there is something called PQ as well, which is getting ignored most of the times these days. We want our future generation to be holistically complete and bright individuals. So that is what our aim is. And it is the platform where we do have experts from the scientific field as well as the spiritual field. So it is the platform where medical science meets spirituality. So we have doctors in our team as well as non-medicos, but who are spiritually well evolved. And our aim is to have a perfect blend of the science and spiritual sciences, which is a far bigger aspect, in order to bring up our future generation in a holistic manner. Who are our core team members? Our core team has an obstetrician who is having 30 years of vast experience in the field of obstetrics. She has delivered thousands of newborn babies through her lifetime, and through her experience, she will add a lot of value to the sessions on this organization. She works in SDMH, Jodhpur, none other than Dr. Nishi Gupta, whom most of us know, but if people are new on this platform, they will know her through her sessions. We can't expect the care of a baby without a pediatrician. So we do have prenatal pediatrician in this team. That is myself. I am the pediatric intensivist, allergy and asthma specialist, working in KIMS Health Trivandrum currently, and having 20 years of experience in the field of pediatrics. And the most important member of our team, the brain behind, with complete heart and soul together, who is managing everything behind the curtains. She's the content writer and is a versatile personality, our dear Viniji. So we three of us make the core team of Vardaan, and we hope that the things will change if we change the beginning. If we want to change the future generation, we have to work on the babies in their golden period. And if we change the beginning, the whole life is going to change. Not only for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your society, and for the whole race of humanity. So what do we offer on the platform of Vardaan? We prefer weekly sessions which are free all of you are free to attend, and those sessions regard various aspects of pregnancy and infancy, medical and spiritual parts. We do conduct monthly workshops, which are for about 5 to 7 days. Again, there you go and dive deep into the medical science and spiritual science. We do get knowledge sessions regarding how to bring our babies up during this golden period. Also, we provide personalized services for taking it to the grassroots level and to the applied aspect. How do we take it around throughout this golden period so that our babies develop in completely holistic and better personality? So that is what a short introduction about Team Vardaan. If you want to know more, you can always contact us. You can call us. You can follow us up on Facebook and Insta, and we will be ready to serve you. So with this short introduction, now today's topic is, how do we know we have conceived? As in the previous sessions, we have discussed what is preconception. How do we prepare ourselves in the preconception? Because golden period does not start during pregnancy. It starts actually 3 months before conception. So that 3 months before conception is the preconception period where parents need to plan and prepare themselves. Then we had story of conception, where we discussed how do we get conceived, or how does a child starts its life physically. And today we are carrying up this series further. Here we have Dr. Nishi with us. She is going to tell us that already you are in the planning phase. You are in preparing phase. How do we come to know? Because everybody is waiting for the event. Once we have made up our mind, once we have prepared ourselves, how do we know that the new life has come into existence? So welcome, Dr. Nishi. Dr. Nishi, are you there? Over to you.
Yes, Neetuji, thank you so much. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction of Vardaan. And I will like to take the session from here, and I'll start with sharing my screen. Yeah. So is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So coming to how do we know we have conceived? So the first thing I want to emphasize here is on the word we. Because normally there is this terminology that we use is I have conceived. So let's forget this terminology as I have conceived. It is like we have conceived. Because once the father of the conceived child also begins to feel that he has also conceived, does the journey start for the couple as parents. And it sort of becomes a very beautiful journey throughout, because both of them can feel that they have conceived and how they have to nurture the growing child, which is though in the womb of the mother, but is in the mind of the father. So I always like to start with the menstrual cycle. So why the menstrual cycle? I, in my mind, think of this as a conception cycle. Because as I have always said in my past presentations also, that menstrual cycle is actually a conception cycle where the nature is preparing the uterus every month to be able to conceive. If the conception doesn't happen for whatever reasons, it is at the end of this 28 or 30 or 35 days period that bleeding is seen externally. But what is happening internally is the planning of the nature to help a woman to conceive. And this conception, if you see from this cycle, is actually starting in the brain. So from the brain or the hypothalamus and the pituitary, certain hormones are secreted which go on to act on the ovaries to cause ovulation to happen, and also works on the uterus to prepare the uterus for the purpose of conception. So the entire system is working in sync and in harmony for the conception to happen. So how actually conception happens is, as I said, the hormones are being released from the hypothalamus acting on the pituitary hormones working on the ovary to cause ovulation. Now, the sperms which are deposited in the vagina, they will move up the uterus, and in the fallopian tube, the ovum, which is captured from here, from the femoral end of the fallopian tube, will unite with the sperms coming from here. Fertilization happens in the fallopian tubes. The fertilized ovum remains in the fallopian tube. It matures from a single cell stage to multiple to 2 cell to 4 to 8 to 16, and so on and so forth. And finally, it traverses from the fallopian tube and comes into the uterus to get implanted here. So nearly 5 days it remains in the fallopian tube, and gradually then it moves and it comes and implants into the uterus around 6 days after it has moved. That means 5 days in the fallopian tube, and around 5 days it takes to traverse, and around on the 11th or 12th it will come and implant into the uterus. So if you see this graph, which is showing the change of hormones from the menstrual cycle to the conception period. So if you see that certain hormones are increasing here, so which this hormone is the luteinizing hormone or the LH hormone, which we normally see at the ovulation period. So ovulation is the time which can be monitored with the kit. And when this is positive, that means ovulation is going to happen within 20 to 24 hours after the ovulation kit shows it as positive. Now, if conception has happened, the same hormones, which was the LH, gets converted into a human chorionic gonadotropin, which is secreted by the which is secreted by the placenta, or the ovum or the embryo which has actually got embedded or implanted into the endometrium. Then the HCG gets secreted. So when this HCG gets secreted, you can see there is so much of rise in the hormone in the initial weeks of pregnancy. So if you see it, this rises till around the 12 weeks of pregnancy, and then gradually tapers off to come to more or less the baseline level. So, and the rest of the other hormones are also increasing. So if you see this HCG hormone, this is increasing in pregnancy, and if you have to monitor the HCG hormone, that is experienced during. Now, what are the signs and symptoms of pregnancy? Missed period, of course, because as we know that the hormones which are affecting the entire menstrual cycle, or whatever, if we consider this as the conception cycle, when pregnancy has happened, so the first thing that is going to happen is the missed period. And actually this missed period is, most of us know that it could be an indication for the pregnancy being positive. Second is tender swollen breast, because all the hormones which function on the uterus, because these hormones also work on the breast, and because of the changes that happen in the breast, changes which happen in the breast are at the same time being prepared through the entire duration of pregnancy for the purpose of lactation during in the postpartum period. So this is also a symptom of pregnancy: nausea with or without vomiting and morning sickness. As I said, this is because of the HCG hormone, and as it rises and peaks during the 12th week of pregnancy. So normally the pregnancy symptoms, which are very severe in the first 3 months, tend to subside gradually once the pregnancy crosses 11 to 12 weeks. Increased urination, because the size of the uterus is increasing, and because the bladder and the uterus, they are very closely connected, they are very close to each other. So because the size of the uterus is growing, it causes a little pressure on the bladder, so there is increased frequency of urination, which doesn't come immediately in the conception period, but yes, as the pregnancy advances, say around the 8th week onwards, then there is increased urination that happens. And fatigue, of course, because so many hormonal changes are happening inside the body, so many physiological changes are happening. So fatigue can happen because there is nausea, there is vomiting, there is inability to take proper diet. So all these factors contribute to fatigue happening. The other signs and symptoms could be mood swings, again because of the change of the hormones, and of course because of a little bit of anxiety that is connected with pregnancy, especially for the first time parents, like what's going to happen, how the pregnancy is going to be taken forward, and a lot of the thoughts start coming that there's going to be a change of the life is going to change, there's going to be a baby in the life. So all these may lead to mood swings. Then of course bloating, again because of the change of the hormones. Light spotting, I'm going to come to that in my later slide. Mild uterine cramping can happen, constipation because the motility of the gut reduces because of the pregnancy hormones, and food aversions like constant hunger can happen, and food cravings can happen, and there could be food aversions. So everybody knows it that thing that somebody does is, or a woman does, is to check the urine, and if there are 2 lines, it's a cause of happiness. And when the pregnancy, it's been a wait for the pregnancy to happen, and 2 lines come, then it is of course pregnancy and a very happy news. So what is urine pregnancy test? As I said, that the HCG hormone, which is immediately rising in the pregnancy time. So that hormone is there in the urine, and this gets detected. The test that we do in the urine pregnancy test, the CART test, is actually detection of this HCG hormone in the urine. This is produced by placenta nearly 10 days after the fertilization, because as I said that 4 to 5 days it remains in the ovum, the embryo, it remains in the fallopian tube, gradually moves to the uterus, and the implantation happens in the next 5 days. So approximately 10 days after fertilization, you can get a urine test positive. So actually, if you are looking forward to pregnancy and you're planning pregnancy, you can even go for the urine pregnancy test 2 to 3 days before your missed period. So it's a misconception that pregnancy test comes positive 7 days after the missed period, but actually it comes positive 2 to 3 days before the missed period. But because missed period is a sign of pregnancy, of a maybe pregnancy, or so it's always better to check it after the period is missed. Otherwise, it's going to be sort of a waste of, the money testing the urine for pregnancy 3 days before, and then you get to know it is negative, and then again testing it after some time, and so on and so forth. So normally the test is done after 2 to 3 days of the missed period. But for parents who are really eager to conceive, you can confirm pregnancy even 2 to 3 days before the missed period. So now what happens is, as the embryo is moving from the fallopian into the uterus and getting implanted into the uterus, the process is actually the embryo, it burrows inside the endometrium. So in this process, there could be some amount of bleeding also. So generally, the parents, they get confused about why the bleeding has happened around 2 to 3 days before the missed period, and then they feel that it's not pregnancy and they have lighter period as compared to the normal period, but there's still confusion going on that, oh, I got the period, but still uh, uh, those who are especially not planning for pregnancy, they sort of get confused more because they're not planning, and it just goes on for some time, and then later on they realize that because there was a little bit of bleeding, so they confused it with the normal period, and the pregnancy was missed. But yes, of course, the implantation bleeding can happen approximately the same time, the implantation, that is around 4 to 5 days before the missed period. And this is how you can differentiate from the implantation bleeding and the normal menstrual cycle. The implantation period bleeding is a little 2 to 3 days before the expected date of the period, and it's lesser in amount as compared to a normal period. The color of the bleeding is also a little different. It's a little brownish to maroonish color, while the menstrual bleeding is dark red in color, the normal red that we see. And this is how you can actually differentiate. So for the knowing of how do I know I'm pregnant, I think that would be sufficient to make you understand that these are the various signs, symptoms, and the investigations to know how when we have conceived. So thank you so much, and that would be all in my presentation, and I invite Dr. Neetu to take the presentation from here ahead.
Nishiji, before we take it the next part, I will like the participants, if they have any queries, so that they can clarify their doubts. The medical doubts are the most important doubts they need to clarify. Then only we can go on to the higher part.
Sure, sure.
And if they don't have any doubts, I will ask you.
Most welcome.
So do we have any doubts from the parents? Sonal, Anubhuti, Aditi, Saloni?
No, ma'am. I have no doubt.
You don't. Very good. Nishiji, your lecture is very effective.
Yeah.
Good.
Actually, this is known to all the participants who are actually planning to conceive. They must have done the urine pregnancy test maybe multiple times. So, and they must have gone on the Google also and read a lot of literature. But still, if there is any doubt, having face-to-face the conversation with the doctor is going to clarify your doubts. So you're most welcome to ask any question. Even if you think it is a very simple question, it is always better to ask it here, because rather than having a wrong myth or maybe a wrong idea about what it is, so you have an opportunity. So please go ahead and ask.
I feel that they don't have any questions. I have some doubts. So
Okay,
I'll just
okay.
ask that what is your experience, that what kind of hunger or cravings you have seen in your experience? What kind of different kind of ideas they come to women and they come to you with the complaints?
One is, of course, there is a lot of nausea in the initial days, so they're not able to eat properly, and then that aversion, the smell is there in all the food items, so they don't feel like eating. Like so many people, they come and tell me, my patients, that I want to eat, but the smell is so different, and in the this pregnancy period, that I'm not able to eat, despite the fact I have cooked it with a lot of enthusiasm, but I'm not able to eat, because while I'm cooking, the smell is it's taken away all my appetite of it. But one thing I will want to point out here, today evening only, I had to scold one of my patient because she was craving for golgappas, and she had a craving for golgappas and she went and really had golgappas. So I said, this is the last thing that you're supposed to have. You have anything that is healthy. But yes, I come across a lot of different, uh, aversions and cravings for food, but that is, I guess, is very natural to happen. So I'm sure what the baby demands, this could be a demand from the baby also, that you will take this ahead from here, so you will make people understand that how the baby is so powerful and so influential that it takes away the even the intelligence of the mother during the pregnancy time.
That's correct. And
Yeah.
what is your advice for the new mothers who have just conceived and they are fighting with their so-called nausea and vomiting and morning sickness? What is your advice as a doctor?
So my advice is just that take it easy. I always tell them that you were waiting for pregnancy for a very long time, and this is a good happening. This is the best symptom that can happen in a person who is having normal pregnancy. That means all your hormones are going well in the body. So don't worry about these symptoms. First thing, A, it is a welcome sign because this is the most important sign of pregnancy, and B, because we know that the hormone is going to fade away at the end of 11 to 12 weeks. So by all means, it is going to come back to normal, and the appetite is going to improve. The nausea and vomiting is going to reduce. So just take it easy. Just enjoy these symptoms, because this has never happened in the past. If the first time parents, like, it is something to enjoy, not to feel worried and bothered about. So then it gives them a lot of solace that okay, 12 weeks pay, it's all going to be set to normal, so okay, we will take it normally then. And when they come to know that this is actually the welcome symptom, they are looking forward to it. If there is no nausea and no vomiting, then I'm skeptical that the hormones are okay or not okay. So when this counseling is done to them, they become very comfortable with the symptoms.
So that is very good, actually, you told, because it is really solace to the new parents, because most of the time they think that if I keep on vomiting, the child will not grow. That is the thinking behind. And I'm not able to eat, how will the baby grow? So they are more worried about the baby. So once we say that
Yes,
this is a good sign, then I think probably they become happy, and probably vomiting also comes down, because it is all more related to the stress
correct.
as well. Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, so now I'll ask one more last time if there are any questions from our medical experts, because doctor is sitting in front of you. You can ask any silly doubts, whatever you feel like. We are always happy to answer. Otherwise, we will move on to the second part, which is a little higher part, difficult to understand. But once we understand that, we know that that is a bigger part and controlling the whole physical manifestations as well. So I think, Nishiji, let me go through my slides.
Yes, yes.
So the medical part, which can you make it a slideshow, Nishiji? It is a slideshow.
It is a slideshow.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
fine. So the second part is the parents who have kind of conceived, or who just want to know that how do we know it really that we have conceived. Nishiji has told us about so many symptoms and signs, and we rely more upon urine for pregnancy test, which gives you the conclusive proof that yes, hormones are there and they are acting smart. And that is what hormone we are detecting through these medical tests. And that is where we come to know that, okay, we have conceived. But how do we know it from inside? Or how do we know it spiritually? Because what Nishiji is told is physical aspects at the level of body. But as we have discussed in the previous sessions, we are not our body alone. Body is just 1/5 part of you. If you look at yourself, you are made up of 5 elements, 5 koshas. So body is Annamaya kosha. But at the level of other koshas, how do we know it that we have conceived? So will you change the slide, Nishiji? Just go to the next slide. So if you look at not in the physical plane, not at your level, if you look at universal plane, just go back, and the universal plane, the whole energies, a lot more than we can understand or imagine. For them, the conception is union of two becoming one, and it is a major event. All the energies, all the planets, all the grahas, all so many things, they have been aligned together. They are waiting for this event to happen. And once this event happens, everybody celebrates actually, because this is a new life which has come into existence. So for that, it is not everyday's event. It is a major event. Okay. Now go to the next slide. As we look into our other koshas, like Pranamaya kosha, Manonamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, and Anandamaya kosha, once we start understanding them, then only we will understand the spiritual aspect of conception. So what are the steps to know it better? We need to plan it as we have done in the preconception phase. 3 months before the conception, once we make up our mind, once we make up our intention that, okay, now we are ready, we are going to conceive, we need to plan it. So we need to prepare ourselves for the next 3 months. And as we have put up the steps that how do we prepare us physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things are important. So we need to work in the preconception time. We need to look at our body. We need to look at our mind. We need to look at our emotions. And we work together. Then only actually we will know it spiritually that the baby has coming, baby has come. Next, Nishiji. We need to, once we plan and prepare, we know about the fertile period. What is the period when, if we go together, if we meet together, there are better chances a new life is going to come. Once we know the fertile period, we go together with the intention of conceiving, not just making love. And then in this phase, we just slow down. We look at ourselves. We do have a me or me time. We just look at ourselves, our spouse. We talk together and we say, we do not get worried about what will happen, how will we manage. That is one part. But then we need to slow down in our career. Just come down, relax. Then only you will be able to realize. Once we have put up the intention, the baby is there in the spirit field. We need to talk to yourself. We need to talk to our baby. Then only things will happen in such a way that your intuition is going to tell you that yes, baby has come. You really do not need any urine pregnancy test, provided you work on yourself, provided you work in preconception period, provided you plan for it and prepare yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. Once that is done, and that is not a difficult job, you need to be aware of it. Most of us are not aware. The things just happen unknowingly. So that is all from my side. Start working on yourself. Start gathering the knowledge. Remain connected to us, our regular sessions. and definitely you will come to know. And that is all from my side. Thank you. And I'll ask Viniji to ask the feedback, ask the questions, and conclude the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Neetaji. And I think we have covered both the aspects of medical and spiritual, whether we have conceived or not. I think medically we are all aware of that how conception takes place, what are the symptoms, what are the physical signs and symptoms, which as laypersons we understand very well. And after understanding these several signs and symptoms which Dr. Nishi explained, I think we are quite known to these aspects. And the final thing is that we go to the doctor and we get ourselves examined and confirm with our pregnancy. So we come to know that we are pregnant. But the major part is the spiritual aspect. When we know what the spiritual aspect is of the conception, I think we will be able to contribute more to the child. And since conception, in fact, all the symptoms that Dr. Nishi explained, we focus on ourselves, on the comfort level of ourselves. We forget the baby, that the baby has come into existence, and that is why all these symptoms are happening. So instead of being happy, we tend to be anxious. So this is the time not to be anxious. In fact, when we say no, when we want to be comfortable, we have to shift our attention to something else. Instead of focusing, since the doctor herself has said that these are the signs to rejoice, not to be sad about. So once you are assured of these things that they will subside as your pregnancy advances, I think you should rejoice and shift your attention to the baby that is growing inside. Because as it is, so much time has been gone, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks have gone when you come to know about your pregnancy. And we have lost our important time to take care and to focus on the baby. So now, after being settled with everything, with the confirmation of the pregnancy, with everything, these signals and symptoms that are there, which are making you anxious, they are also settled through the doctor's advice. I think this is the time that you need to focus on the baby, the education part, so that along with the physical growth, he is able to develop emotionally, become a better person, have a better IQ, EQ, SQ, and everything, all the intelligences. Because later on, when he is born, when he comes to this earth plane, I think then he will be able to conduct himself in a much better, in a much stronger way. Because physical development is anyhow going to happen with lot of nutritious food, with the likings and cravings, and you will be providing the child with the nutrition of the food. But what nutrition is very, very important, more than the food nutrition, is the spiritual attention. And for that, you need to know those techniques, how you can nurture your child within the womb. And that nurturing is through what you see, what you read, and what you listen. So everything happens with the intention and with consciousness. If you are conscious about the spiritual aspect for the growth of the baby, I think then you will be able to contribute to the development of a very healthy and very beautiful baby holistically. Why we call it holistically? Because it includes all the aspects of life. It is not just the physical growth or the physical development, but the development of his mind, his intelligence, his emotional stability. So this is more important. Instead of focusing on your things that are going on with you, you must focus on these aspects so that you are able to shift your attention. And there are so many techniques also. Apart from shifting your attention, you can go through many other techniques, that is yoga, meditation, so many things are there. You can easily take, this will help you to take care of your anxiety. It will bring your anxiety level down. It will make you more calm, more understanding, more receptive. And so it is the best time that you can contribute for your child, because this time will never come back. If you contribute to your child at this why, and that is why we call this period as the golden period. Why it is the golden period? Because this time will never come back in your child's life. So you can do maximum for your child, and it is the best thing. As Dr. Neetu said, that this is not a simple event. It is just maybe people plan for one child or two children. If it is just one single child, I think this is never going to be, they're never going to come back in your life. So it is just a matter of 1100 days that you need to focus on your child on the golden period. And then you see the magic, what child you will have, what kind of baby you will have in your life. That child will really create value to your life as well as his own life. So after his birth, if he has been nurtured holistically during the womb journey, I think he will make you, I mean, you will be engaging with him instead of managing his tantrums, his mood swings. He will not be showing these mood swings. He will be able to make you happy with all his activities. So all I have to say in conclusion is that please focus on your baby. That is the golden opportunity that you have been given through God and through the universe. Because your baby is going to create the footprints of yourself throughout the life. And you will understand that, see how your baby, you can fulfill your dreams through your baby at this particular time. So it's my request that please attend to the calls of your baby, whether it is food craving or any other. So to be happy, it is the moment to be happy, and that's it. If you want something to be asked, if you want any queries to be solved, what is spiritual aspect or anything else, whatever is coming to your mind, what is spiritual aspect, how we can approach to it, I think the chat box is open to you. You can put your questions in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask your questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. So please go ahead with your questions.
Hare Krishna, ma'am. Thank you, Vinny ma'am. Thank you, Neetu ma'am. Thank you, Nishi ma'am. मुझे रियली बहुत कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन नॉलेज रिगार्डिंग जो मैंने पहले वर्कशॉप ज्वाइन किया था और लास्ट वीक योगा सेशन और आज जो काफी कुछ मुझे पता चला और मेरे को बहुत हेल्प भी मिली इससे। मैं थोड़ा ये जानना चाह रही थी, मैं विद इन ये जो 9 मंथ्स का जो प्रेगनेंसी का जो पीरियड होता है, इसमें डाइट क्या लेनी होती है? मतलब एक प्रॉपर डाइट का मैं एक चाह रही थी, क्योंकि मुझे एक्चुअली में थायराइड भी है, तो मैं थोड़ा सा इस चीज को मतलब थोड़ा कंसर्न थी कि थायराइड में क्या, मतलब प्रेगनेंसी के टाइम पे क्या डाइट लेना चाहिए, किन चीज को अवॉइड करना है, किसको नहीं, तो थोड़ा इस बारे में जानना चाह रही थी। बाकी ओवरऑल मुझे बहुत नॉलेज मिली है। थैंक यू सो मच। मतलब आप मुझे, मेरे पास कुछ ऐसे कुछ खास वर्ड्स नहीं है कि मैं जो आप सबको कुछ बोल सकूं, एक्सप्रेस कर सकूं, बट रियली मुझे बहुत नॉलेज मिली है आपके ये वंडरफुल जो भी मैं सेशंस अटेंड कर रही हूँ। Thank you.
Thank you, Anubhuti. It was a wonderful feedback. And I think Dr. Nishi can answer this question, or how she wants to approach this question. I think we'll ask Dr. Nishi.
Yeah.
Dr. Nishi, please unmute. You have to unmute.
Yes. I have unmuted. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
fine. Thank
Yes.
you. So, अनुभूति, आपको बस ऐसा एक ही चीज का ध्यान रखना है कि कंसेप्शन, आई थिंक यू आर इन द प्री कंसेप्शन पीरियड।
Yes.
यस। सो आपको सिर्फ एक ही चीज का ध्यान रखना है कि जो आप थायराइड की मेडिसिन खा रहे हैं उसको इतना अप्रोप्रिएट रखना है कि आपका जो TSH लेवल्स है वो 2.5 से कम होना चाहिए, लेस देन 2.5। जो रेंज है उसमें जो नॉर्मल रेंज होती है वो होती है करीब आई गेस फ्रॉम 3.5 to 5.6 समथिंग की नॉर्मल रेंज बता रखी होती है, पर जब आप
Okay.
कंसीव करने का प्लान करते हैं तो आपको उसका TSH का लेवल लेस देन 2.5 रखना होता है। उसके बाद आप कंसीव करिए और उसके बाद कोई टेंशन नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर थायराइड के लेवल्स मेंटेन हो जाते हैं एक बार, उसके बाद ना तो डाइट का कोई रेस्ट्रिक्शन होता है, ना ही आपको कोई और एडिशनल प्रिकॉशन रखना होता है। ये हो सकता है कि कंसीव करने के बाद आपको थायराइड की मेडिसिन की रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ जाए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी अगर आप मे बी 25 या 50 ले रहे हैं तो थोड़ा सा 10 माइक्रोग्राम या 15 या 25 माइक्रोग्राम बढ़ानी पड़े डिपेंडिंग ऑन दी थायराइड का TSH का लेवल्स। अदरवाइज आपको इसकी वरी नहीं रखनी है, कुछ एंजाइटी नहीं रखनी है कि थायराइड है इससे मुझे प्रॉब्लम आएगी कंसीव करने में। अगर आपके लेवल्स नॉर्मल हैं तो आप एक नॉर्मल पर्सन की कैटेगरी में ही आ जाते हैं और आपको उसी तरह से अपने प्रेगनेंसी को मैनेज करना होगा। बस थायराइड के लेवल्स को ध्यान रखते हुए आप मेडिसिन का टाइट्रेशन कर लें इसमें।
मैम डाइट का कुछ ऐसा नहीं है, मतलब
नहीं,
कुछ भी?
नहीं कुछ भी डाइट का ऐसे स्पेशल डाइट नहीं होती है कि थायराइड आप अगर थायराइड है तो डाइट का कुछ स्पेशल चेंजेस हैं, वो सेम ही डाइट रहती है अदर देन थायराइड मेडिसिन, दैट इज इट।
ओके मैम, वैसे मैम प्रेगनेंसी में नॉर्मल हमें मतलब मोस्टली क्या लेना चाहिए, मतलब जैसे कि मतलब ग्रीन लीफी वेजिटेबल्स वगैरह ही ज्यादा खाने चाहिए या सब कुछ खाना चाहिए? जैसे हाँ, मैंने पहले वर्कशॉप में भी बताया था आपने कि लेना सब कुछ चाहिए, कि बेबी को टेस्ट सारा कराना चाहिए, खट्टा मीठा सब। लेकिन एक जनरली मतलब फिर भी मैं जब पूछना चाह रही थी कि मतलब फोकस किस पर रहना चाहिए कि हाँ ये तो हमें ईच डे लेना ही लेना है, मतलब खाना ही खाना है।
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है अनुभूति, आपको सिर्फ हेल्दी डाइट लेनी है। हेल्दी डाइट में जो भी कुछ आता है, जो भी हम लोग सब समझते हैं कि हेल्दी डाइट क्या होती है। हमारे साथ डॉक्टर सुरभि भी थी थोड़ी देर पहले, आई थिंक शी हैज लेफ्ट। सो डॉक्टर सुरभि पारिक, शी इज अ डाइटिशियन, सो मे बी sometime we can invite her for the session on nutrition and diet. And otherwise, my suggestion to all my parents is just to take healthy diet, whatever comes in the category of healthy. It is everything can be taken during pregnancy except for pineapple and papaya. That is it. Rest, nothing, no restriction. For example, I would ask to avoid junk food, lots of spices. That is all. Rest, everything can be taken.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anubhuti. You had a very good query, and maybe other parents must also have been benefited out of it. And now I request other parents also, if they have some query, please go ahead. Don't hesitate. Don't